glad you're with us on Retire Smart, Austin. Brad Johansson with Phil Capriotti. And he looks like he has presents or something that, I don't know, did you find something in the rough before we got on set?
Yes, as a matter of fact, one of the cameramen found one of our golf balls out there in the rough, which gave me an idea. What I thought, there's a continuation of our last week's show. But if you do find one of these golf balls, you have a couple different options. Number one, if you return the sender, if you bring it in to me at Empower Wealth and Tax, Phil Capriotti, you'll get a complimentary round of golf and or a dozen golf balls. And depending on just how cool you are, you might get both. You might get both. Okay. And by the way, just so happens our Horseshoe Bay office is right outside of the Slick Rock Golf Course out there in Horseshoe Bay. So if you're ever out there playing around, come on in the office, say hello. As you know, we opened up full-time Monday through Friday. It was effective January 2nd, 2025. So we're getting a lot of traffic, and we're getting a lot of folks returning my golf balls. So I like that. And by the way, you get to keep the golf ball, too.
So you get a complimentary review, a dozen golf balls, maybe a round of golf, depending on how cool you are, as to whether, I mean, this is quite an offer. Are you personally on your mistakes, leaving these golf balls out there for people to find?
No, I've been meeting folks over the last 20 years since I started this company, especially the last 15, since we've gained notoriety and so forth. And I like to meet new golfers. I mean, I just do. Most folks that play golf, they've amassed a significant wealth. But not only that, I get to play. They get to come and play our courses because we have 4 of them. Yeah. And then every now and again, I'll get an invite to their course as well. So there's a method to the madness.
I love it.
And I was talking with one of the cameramen, and they said, when he plays golf, he does the drive-by. And if he doesn't readily see the golf ball, he's taking a stroke and dropping. And I said, I do that, but now I intentionally leave them in there. Okay. So
I like it.
Anyway, we're just having a little bit of fun. Folks, just wanted to give you a quick heads up. Call in for your Morningstar report, especially if you're a do-it-yourselfer. We're going to continue on those 30 mistakes, well-known mistakes. Actually, unless you sit and talk about it, you probably don't know you're even making a mistake. And even an error that can cost you literally hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, which brings us to our number 9.
Well, before you even get to number 9, Phil, because some of you may have missed us last week, I want to very quickly recap that we went through, you don't have a clear investment plan. You're overconfident because everybody seems overconfident because you've had a good run in the market. You're trying to time the market. Ooh, good luck with that. You're ignoring your asset allocation. You're not diversified enough. We've got to a bunch of these before we even get to number 9, which is underestimating our what?
Yeah, estimating our risk.
Our risk.
Yeah, so many times what happens is we're chasing returns, especially when we're a do-it-yourselfer. And what we'd like to do, and what you should do, is run what's called a risk-alize report. So every time you make changes in your portfolio, you want to understand how much risk is in my portfolio.
Right.
You not only just want to look at the good side, but we want to take that into consideration. We want to play devil's advocate here and look at the possible downside. Some of these portfolios by do-it-yourselfers, believe me, when we run our Morningstar, have 40, 45, 50. I've had some that had 60% market risk built into it, and they didn't realize it. So it's extremely important. Again, we talked about, a high tide floats all boats. You need to know your risk whenever you're adding a stock or taking one out, or even a bond for that matter. I've had folks say, yeah, I'm in those high yield bonds. And I'm like, high yield? Yeah, they're the bonds that pay the higher interest rate. And I tell them, years ago, we used to call them junk bonds,
Yeah,
And the reason you get a higher yield is because they're high risk. It's like if you have the best credit rating, you get the best credit. You have a 800 or so.
Sure.
You're going to have the lowest interest rate when you go to borrow money. Well, the same thing works for companies. So high yield means you get a higher return because you're taking on higher risk. So when we start to look at high yield bond portfolios or high yield bond ETFs along with high risk stocks, we can see up to 50% or even more. By the way, folks, what we're talking about is if you had 100% of your money in the S&P 500, your risk would be a 1.0. All right, we're seeing folks with risk. I had a gentleman come in with a portfolio. He was very proud of his return, and I told him he did a great job, but his risk was what? 106.
Oh, goodness.
So it was more than if he had all his money in the S&P 500.
And he didn't know it.
No, he didn't realize it. No, he didn't realize it. So what he wanted to know is, okay, how do I get a similar return but dial down my risk? And see, this is where professional money management and portfolio management comes into play. You don't always have to reduce your returns to reduce your risk.
All right. And as far as not knowing what your risk is, it kind of leads us into the next potential mistake, which is ignoring, or maybe, again, not even knowing your fees and expenses that you have in your portfolio.
There's no doubt about it, especially with folks that buy. If you're buying a stock portfolio, folks, let's talk about internal fees, and you think that you're saving money on fees, stock portfolio does not have internal fees. You're buying the stock specifically from the company. Now, you may have trading fees, you know, for buying or selling the stock. That may be incorporated into your portfolio because you're not dealing with an institutional firm.
Sure.
You're dealing with a retail account. So the fees are different for us. We're institutional. We buy, sell, buy, sell. There are no trading fees. It's incorporated into the annual fee, whereas individuals may have to pay trading fees and so forth. But paying too much in fees, many folks will set it and forget it. They'll buy mutual funds because they have a great history. But when we take a look inside of the mutual fund's internal fees average many times 1%, 90 basis points, 90% of 1%. So we want to take a look at the internal fees. And this is readily uncovered when we run that Morningstar report and portfolio observation. We just want you to know what it is that you have. Because let's face it, if you have internal fees of 1% per year, over the course of a 10-year, 15, 20-year period, that's an extra 10, 15, 20% you've paid in fees that are no longer in your portfolio. They're paid to the mutual fund managers and so forth. One of the other mistakes we see is overtrading.
Like extreme?
Oh, overtrading, like making purchases and sells weekly. Okay, overtrading. And this is not necessarily timing the market, but it's frequently buying and selling investments. You know, when you got that hot tip, or your friend on the golf course said, you know, I'm in this particular company is doing extremely well. That's all well and good. I've actually had folks come up and say, hey, Cap, what do you think about this company? What do you think about that company? Well, I don't talk business on the golf course. Well, I don't. I come in to relax. I talk business. So I'll tell them, just come on in the office. Okay, well, let's go play around. We'll come in the office, or we'll come into the office, and then we'll go play around. I don't believe in you know, talking business. If I'm at a cocktail party, okay, having an adult beverage, I don't believe in talking business. I'm there to unwind. I talk business at my business in the office. So many folks, you know, I say, come on in. I mean, our interviews are complimentary. I'm not going to charge you by the hour, okay? You're a friend. I probably like you. Don't want to play more golf with you anyway because you can help me improve my handicap.
There you go.
Okay? So we can work something out.
Tell people what you have for them as you take us to break.
Yeah, folks, give us a call. Dial 888-818-6557 and or click the QR code down on the bottom of your screen, and that'll take you right to our landing page. You'll be able to either talk to the operator, book an appointment directly with me, or one of my licensed staff. We have about a half a dozen fiduciaries that work in our office. Or you can say, I want to go talk to Phil, and I want to fast track. So when you click the QR code, that'll actually fast track you, where you can set up an appointment within a week or two. Normally, I have a week out.
Love it.
And you set up the appointment without having to wait 3, 4, 5 weeks to come in to see me, because many times that's what the wait time is. Tell them you want to fast track, click the QR code, tell them you heard me talking on TV, tell them you've been watching me for a while, and if you tell them you're a golfer, they'll get you in real quick.
I love it. You want to get to the front of the line? Click the QR code. Let's fast track this. We want to fast track your retirement. We want to get past some of the mistakes. You want another mulligan? We've got them for you. 888-818-6557. Phil's already offered. I don't know whether you heard this. You come in with a golf ball, or you come in with this idea, you may get a dozen back. You may get a round of golf with Phil, but we're not talking business on the course. So come into the office. Let's talk business one-on-one. 888-818-6557. Let's retire smart, Austin. What mistakes are you making? We got more when we come back.
Hello, my name is Philip Capriotti. If you've already filed for Social Security and would like us to fast track you straight to a licensed fiduciary to create your tax-efficient retirement income plan, we'll be happy to accommodate you. You know, one of the most important priorities to ensure that you do not become tax poor in retirement is to, number one, structure a tax-efficient retirement income plan, as well as a comprehensive Morningstar report. This will ensure that you understand 3 major variables. Number 1, how much risk are you taking? Number 2, how much return are you receiving? And number 3, how much are your internal and external fees? To fast track your meeting with one of our licensed and experienced team members, just click on the link below, complete the form attached, so we can provide you with an accurate and detailed plan. Let's start empowering your retirement right now.
Hey, we are on the fast track to retire smart, Austin. Brad Johansson with Phil Capriotti going through all of the mistakes, and there are top 30. There's probably a top 300. We're trying to minimize some of those and get you into retirement. 888-818-6557. If we're fast tracking, that's kind of what we want. Just give it to me now. I want it now. I want to birdie the first hole, and then everything's going to be good from there. Yep. Unfortunately, we start out with a double bogey, and we say, man, this stinks. This is probably one of our top. I'd list this at 12. At least that's where I have it on my list. Focusing too much on short-term results because I want it now.
Right.
A lot of folks.
One of the benefits of playing a game of golf, and this is one of the things that I love about it, is you have 18 tries at a great hole, okay? Yeah. No matter how bad you did in the hole before, you have a whole new hole, a whole new chance on a par 3 for a hole-in-one, what have you. Many folks that manage their own portfolios, and Brad's absolutely right, they focus on short-term results, immediate gratification. And many times what I see is they obsess over the lack of short-term fluctuations, and they're clock watching. They're looking at the portfolio in the morning when they're finished playing golf, or if they're not playing golf. I've had folks come in, I ask them, how often do you check your portfolio? And the wife will turn around constantly.
Yeah.
Okay. This really can lead to making decisions that will harm you. You have to set it and you have to let it go. You cannot we have literally dozens of portfolio managers, because when we want to design or customize a client's portfolio based on their risk tolerance and their drawdown, I don't want to use one manager. Well, basically, when you're managing your own portfolio, you're using one manager. Mm-hmm. Okay? Without the expertise or necessarily the knowledge. So we want to make sure that we're not focusing and dwelling on short-term returns, understanding that we're in this for the long haul, and make sure that that portfolio is structured according to what you want to accomplish in retirement, especially if you are retired. I would say number 13, we're going to have to run with that, is failing to review and adjust your portfolio regularly. And
Yeah, but you just said we've got people looking at them too often.
daily. That's daily. We want to take a look at this thing. We want to look at trends. We want to make sure that we have market research. We want analytics. We have to weigh the data to determine where we want to move. We also want to look at, if I want a better return with less risk, am I investing in a lot of short-term? Am I investing in a lot of small cap funds?
Yeah.
Okay, well, the last couple of years, small cap funds got beat up. We looked at large cap dividend funds. And again, I don't want the whole S&P 500. One of our portfolio managers has been amazing. We have a large cap dividend fund that's over 34% last year. And it did 29%. And the fact of the matter is, we never saw it fluctuate more than 8%.
Amazing.
And we didn't have all of the stocks in the large cap. We had about 40, 45, 50 of them. We only went the best of the best. So this comes from the analytics.
You bet.
Many times folks are just throwing darts. And, when you're throwing enough darts, you're going to land them over here, up there, on the floor, and so forth.
All right, I'm going to go, and I'm going to run, and I want to add it up, and I want to amount, and I want to accumulate. And now my next mistake is I fail to...
Yeah, you fail to...
tax implications.
Well, the tax implications are huge. So this is why we implemented... Actually, we did a trial last year in 2024 with stunning results. We now implemented tax-aware software, where we'll and I believe that the mean average with the comfort zone is twice a month, where we will balance the portfolio twice a month. Meaning, folks, we'll sell losses, offset it with gains to net a 0% tax bracket for long-term or short-term capital gains, even short-term. If I sell losses and sell the same amount of gains, that gives me new money to invest in other investments. So when you are buying and selling, and I would say not daily, but when you're doing this using this software, even with taxable portfolios that you've inherited from parents, that you've had for years and years because you were only able to put a certain amount in your 401k, coming in and allowing us to manage that portfolio using our tax-aware software really helps you to create balance and new money for additional new investments.
Well, you have tax-aware software in your office, and then you go and create this tax calculator. We've got empowertaxbill.com. And I always say that I apologize because you can't unsee this, but you can't ignore it either. This calculator gives you an idea of what you're in for, correct?
Yeah, it does. In fact, I've had a lot of advisors really irritated with me for giving this away for free. And I tell them it's not for free. This is all about, if you know anything about my company, anything about me, it's about educating.
Yeah.
And so I love the individuals that are so confident that they can do it themselves. All right. And maybe they don't have a CPA, or maybe their CPA doesn't really specialize in this. So if you take advantage of our tax-aware software, and you can go on our website, and I believe it's
EmpowerTaxBill.com.
Retire. Thank you.
You bet.
All I know is we built it, we tested it, and it's working great. And I have a lot of folks that really like it. See, I believe that the more we give you and the more we educate you, not only the better off you are, but the more you'll compare us to other advisory firms and understand that working with a private wealth manager or wealth management team like Empower Wealth and Tax is really where it's at.
Are you where it's at? I mean, are you cool enough to come in and get a dozen golf balls and a round of golf? Maybe you need that test as well. But go to empowertaxbill.com. See what you may be in for so that we can adjust and get you into retirement the cool way. 888-818-6557. Come in and see Phil. Don't you want to retire smart, Austin? More mistakes, more solutions when we return.
Hello, my name is Phil Capriotti. You know, we have been helping folks like you create a tax-free retirement income plan for over 2 decades. I am a firm believer that if you've worked and paid taxes for the last 50 years, the one thing you shouldn't be burdened with is excessive taxation in retirement. At Empower Wealth and Tax, we specialize in helping you reach your desired retirement lifestyle with a tax-free and tax-efficient retirement income plan. With the probability of taxes going up significantly in the future, let's plan your retirement right. Call us today or select one of the options below and start empowering your retirement right now.
So glad you're with us on Retire Smart. Austin, Brad Johansson with Phil Capriotti, as we are talking about some of the mistakes, and they are many. And you may have made ones that others haven't, but there are more ahead. We're trying to address as many as we can. Phil, I want to get to investing without understanding the product. For a lot of the do-it-yourselfers, it's, well, I heard this is good, I'm going in.
Yeah, you know, I bought this stock. A friend of mine, my broker told me this thing is great, and you want to buy it now when it's super low, and, you know, make a killing on it. And you don't understand the company. You don't understand, many times, don't understand the product.
Yeah.
It's an impulsive buy. It's like going out and buying something, an impulsive buy. And I'm not going to say that my wife does that, but she doesn't.
No,
I'm
never.
probably more guilty. I'm probably more guilty of that.
You may be.
Yeah, I might. Like, for instance, I bought a new set of golf clubs. I never been measured for a set of golf clubs. Okay? I went right into one of the local, I won't mention any names. I don't want to give out any free advertisement, but I went in, and man, it was a hook, line, and sinker,
Is that
baby.
right?
I was like, yep, give me those brand new Callaway AI pair. Yeah. Oh, and you're going to measure me too? No. Oh, and I could choose my grips. Fact of the matter is, when I got out there and started hitting the ball with those clubs, they were no better than the old clubs that I used. I didn't understand the product.
Yeah.
I simply didn't understand the product. And it's not that I didn't pay a lot of money for the product. I just didn't understand it. So with that being said, we find this is also a big error with many of these do-it-yourselfer portfolio managers. You know, when you're managing your own portfolio, over-concentrating on one stock or sector.
Because you fall in love with it?
I see this a lot, especially with AI. I'm going to Google all the AI companies, and I'm going to invest in all of the different. I'm going to do my own research. You don't know what's really coming on the horizon. You don't know what type of legislation is being passed with the government that may hinder a certain company,
Sure,
favor another company. This comes under the research and analytics that we put into every portfolio that we orchestrate and construct before we buy. Let the buyer beware. So you have to do your due diligence. And I would say, try to avoid that over concentrating, because when you don't diversify, what happens is, you know, my dad used to say, life is like a wheel, Phil. You know, sometimes you're on top, sometimes you're on the side, and then once in a while you're underneath the wheel. Well, sectors are the same way.
yeah.
And so for many of us, we really want to diversify in many of the top sectors, not just one. You know, I may want to diversify in communication. Yes, AI. Yes, technology, software. But I don't want to get focused and go 10, 15, 20% in any one particular sector. This is a sure way of really exceeding your risk tolerance within that portfolio. And get ready for a 30, 40% loss all at once, because it happens.
All right, I want to jump past some of the picking of the single stocks and going straight to what we've been dealing with over the last 4 years since COVID, and that is, I don't know how you can, but ignoring inflation of what we've dealt with. You know, if you go to a 50-year high or a 50-year average when we're going at about 3.8%, and the government's trying to get us down to 2%, and over the last 4 years, we've been over 20% in inflation, and yet we ignore how that's going to impact us in retirement. Why?
Because inflation's the silent tax, and most folks do not even consider it when they're managing their investment portfolio. The fact of the matter is, if you ignore inflation while you're picking your stocks, bonds, and so forth, you're in for a rude awakening when we look at it over a period of time, a 3-year, 5-year, over the long run. So investing and taking into account inflation, changes in inflations, increasing inflation during 22, we had inflation that they admitted to of 8.7%. Real inflation was closer to 13, 14%. Another topic for another show. Fact of the matter is, we really have to take a look at inflation. And that huge return that you had, did you take into account that maybe the reason you had such a large return was because of our runaway inflation issue?
Yeah.
So this is a factor that we incorporate not only in our portfolio management, but also our retirement income plans.
Tell the folks, I want to go back to what you have, because you have so much for people when they walk into the office and get a chance to see you. Give them an idea what it looks like for them.
Well, first of all, I had one client ask me to put in one of those golf simulation machines. You're not going to find that in my office, okay? What you will find, okay, is our professional administrative staff. Everyone in my office is licensed. When we take on a new employee, because we are growing and growing rapidly, we have a 90-day trial. And if the employee isn't, and again, doesn't know technology, they really need to know everything, but most of all, customer service. Yeah. So you're going to be greeted by a knowledgeable individual that cares about your future as well as we do. And not only that, they're going to be listeners. So I like to listen to my client. I like to ask you questions. We're going to structure a Social Security maximization tax-efficient report. If you haven't filed for Social Security, we're going to make sure that your retirement income plan is integrated into your portfolio management. But most of all, we're going to make sure that you have a tax-efficient portfolio management and run that Morningstar report. Don't exceed your risk tolerance.
Thanks so much for being with us, folks. We're listening to understand what you want in retirement. Give us a call. So grateful for your time here. Can't wait to see you in the office. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Brad.